Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome. Boa tarde. It's great to see so many people here today. We're going to go ahead and get started momentarily as we wait for everyone to go ahead and enter the webinar. Thanks everyone so much for joining us today. All right, great. We'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Boa tarde. My name is Laura Cosette, and I'm the Senior Program Officer of the 100,000 Strong in the Americas Innovation Fund here at Partners of the Americas. Today, we'll be holding a live Q&A session on the 2021 U.S.-Brazil Innovation Fund competition. To answer your questions, present a little bit on the competition, and we'll all be here. We have representatives from the U.S. Department of State, Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs, as well as the U.S. Embassy in Brazil, EducationUSA, as well as SENAI, to be here to answer all of your questions and present on this competition. A few logistical notes. We do have live translation available in this webinar. You can go ahead and click the interpretation button and choose your channel. We will mainly be speaking and presenting in English. So if you need translation to Portuguese, that is available, and vice versa. You can also ask your questions in English or Portuguese, and our team will be able to respond to those. The recording of this webinar, as well as the materials, will be made available within 3 to 5 business days. We'll send those to the email you use to register, and we'll also post them on our website. And with that, we will go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with Maggie Hug, who is the Director of Regional Education Initiatives at the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs at the U.S. Department of State, who will give us an overview of the Innovation Fund. We'll then go to Rita Morricone, the Regional Advising Coordinator for South America at EducationUSA. And then Gustavo Duvalle Giasrosa from SENAI will speak a little bit about SENAI and partnerships. I will then briefly go over how to apply the eligibility and requirements for the competition, as well as the evaluation criteria. And then you're welcome to ask questions at any time throughout the webinar. We'll be answering them throughout the webinar as well as at the end. And at the end, we'll have an open session for the question and answer period. And again, the design of this webinar is to be a space where you can ask any and all questions. So we're looking forward to that portion as well. And with that, I will pass it off to Maggie to give us some comments on the Innovation Fund.
Hello, good afternoon. Greetings to everybody that's joining us. We are so excited to see so many familiar names in the attendees. Marcia from the Embassy of Brazil here in Washington, Leonardo and Todd, my colleagues at the State Department at the U.S. Embassy in Brasilia, obviously mi querida amiga Rita and her amazing team of EducationUSA advisors, Areta, and many others who are joining us. Gustavo, our partner at SENAI. We can't do this without SENAI, so thank you, Gustavo. Obrigada, obrigada, Gustavo, for being here and for your team at SENAI. And of course, the team at Partners, Lara, Penelope, and Yukaya. Mainly, I just want to say that this is a huge team effort and that we are very excited that we have this Innovation Fund competition opportunity that is made possible, as Laura said, with funds from the Department of State in Washington, U.S. Embassy in Brasilia with Leonardo and Todd and his team, and then obviously Gustavo and Federico, our colleagues at SENAI. This is a huge team effort, and for everybody who's joining us today, the whole point of today is whether you're started a proposal or whether you're thinking about a proposal, we want today to help you with your questions, your ideas, your creativity. We know that these are very complicated times for higher education institutions in the United States and all over Brazil. Many places are still in both countries, we're dealing with the pandemic and the impact on higher education and partnerships and training opportunities. That said, Laura, I don't know if you have a slide of this competition, just to highlight where we are for today. Yeah. What I just want to say to everybody is, you know, this opportunity is designed for you. All of you listening, you are leaders in the higher education sphere. You know what your institutions need. You know what your students need and your faculty. So we want you to think about the 100K Innovation Fund grants as a tool to build partnerships that increase the diversity of education institutional partnerships and the diversity of participants, students and faculty who might not normally have an opportunity to have an international or a bilateral training opportunity. This is the program that helps to do this, the 100,000 Strong in the Americas, the 100K, as we say, the 100K Innovation Fund grants. So we are here to learn, to listen, to help troubleshoot. The application deadline, you can see, closes 28 de marzo, the end of March. There is still time to be working on your very competitive proposals. And the team at Partners the Americas, our team at the embassy and in Washington, D.C., and with Rita, we stand by to help answer questions today and after today. So we just want to say, think creatively, think big, and think about how you can make sure that there is a diversity of institutions and a diversity of students who can benefit from the 100,000 Strong Innovation Fund grants. With that, obrigada to everybody listening. Thank you for your time, and over to Rita.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to try to share my screen, Laura, if you can stop sharing. So it's a pleasure being here with you again, talking about the 100,000 Strong and the partnership funds. I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about Education USA and the role Education USA played in liaising US universities, Brazilian universities for these funds. We are a State Department Global Network. We have 42 offices in Brazil. In Brazil offices, many offices are inside Brazilian universities. Many of our host institutions are here. I see PUC Campinas, Rio, UFMG, and many others. The offices are a network of the State Department within the Western Hemisphere region. The offices can be located in embassies, Fulbright commissions, by national centers. And the idea is to promote US higher education and to foster partnerships. So these are all the dots of the offices in Brazil. Brazil is as big as the US. If you don't call Alaska, it's always hard to justify Brazil. And again, a little bit of statistics that came from Open Doors on the number of Brazilian students going to the United States and the number of US students coming to Brazil. Obviously, the pandemic had to do a lot, but you know, the drops were not that high given the situation of the past 2 years. Many universities continue doing online degree seeking courses, and that shows why the numbers are still there. We are all abiding by US Joint Statement of Principles in Support of International Education. Our US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, put that through, and 100,000 Strong is exactly on the point of the partnerships and the linkages, etc. Apologize that my computer, of course, is trying to force quit right now. But I just wanted to talk about a little bit of the EducationUSA initiatives and actually talk to you, because some of you reached out to our advisors and were in doubt about submitting proposals. And I think one of the common things that happened this time is matching funds. We heard from many of you saying, oh my, you know, if we have a certain amount of funds that 100,000 Strong is giving us, we don't have the funds to match. You do. It's in kind. I just want to share with you on the chat a link that, let's see if I can do that. A link that you have an example from FI, the business school in Curitiba, where Areta is, where she submitted and was selected, you know, at the very beginning from the funds. And in there, she shows you how she matched. So it's the time of the professors involved. There are a lot of in-kind contributions that matches the funds, and it's easy to do. So I would also advise you, if you are a university, you don't have to have one submission. It could be several, right? So for instance, I know that Federal Fluminense is working with State University of New York. I think I saw Kathleen here from FIT, Fashion Institute, and SENAC. And I'm hoping that you are submitting a proposal. But it could be also all other departments. I know Federal do Ceará is planning for a proposal on food security with North Carolina State. And then these are some other connections that went out that we actually literally went after the partners. We introduced departments, we introduced professors. We wanted to really make it as big as possible. Why? Because this is the opportunity only for Brazil. You know, in the other competitions, we have to compete with other countries. Now you're competing within. And that will give you many more possibilities of having proposals accepted. So we encourage you to submit the proposals. Reach out to our Education USA advisors. When I stop talking, I'll put all the links for Education USA in the chat. And you do have pretty much 2 months, and it's doable. You know, the proposal is not that difficult. So feel free, if you are a university, to have 5, 10, 20 proposals each. I will wait for questions and stop sharing and pass it back to you, Maggie.
I think obrigada, Rita, really quickly to you and your team of advisors. We are the Education USA team all over Brazil, knows the landscape for Brazil, for higher education institutions, for Sinai, and also does so much work with does a lot of work, as many of you know, with US institutions. So think of us all as a big team trying to help make these connections, and obrigada, Rita, to you and your team. And I think now it's over to Gustavo.
Yes, thank you, Maggie. Thank you, everyone. Just a few words about Sinai to present, who introduce Sinai, who doesn't yet know. Sinai is the biggest vocational education here in Brazil, maybe Latin America, and almost 1,000 educational units spread for the whole country, includes boats and mobile units, and we deliver course programs to training workers to industry in Brazil. Since this last decade, the industry has demanded different kind of profiles, profile works, different kinds of servers, and now we are running through Brazil some universities to deliver different kind of trained workers to this industry and service. And we implement 26 innovation institute throughout Brazil. And to be in the border of the edge of the technology, we must reach out all of the world. You must be open doors to receive and to send our technicians, our teachers, our students abroad. And we find this partnership as one of the most important we are running in this moment. And we would like to invite Brazilian University to be partners of Sinai's University and Innovation Institute to present a proposal in this second call, and hope to see you soon with good projects and I will left more to the question and answers time. Maggie.
Laura, if you let me, I have one quick question for Gustavo, which might be helpful for everybody listening. Again, Gustavo, tell us how many innovation institutes there are in the SANAI networks, and then also how many institutions around Brazil. Two things, please.
Yes. We have 26 innovation institute in Brazil. I can deliver to Laura and I post in the website this map with the contacts, or they can find me to put them in contact to all these institutes. And almost 65 higher education schools throughout Brazil. I cannot precise how many cities right now, but I can send it as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's great. Just a lot of us know, but maybe people joining us today don't know that wonderful, important part. So 26 innovation institutes and 65 at least higher education SANAI institutes. So for
Let me correct. Sorry, Meg, let me correct.
Sorry.
37 faculties.
37. Okay, sorry, 37. Okay. Okay. Obrigada. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Great. Thanks so much, Gustavo. And again, we'll all still be here throughout the webinar to answer all of your questions. We'll now go over a bit of the logistics of applying for an innovation fund. The first step is to join the Innovation Network. You can do so on our website. We have the link posted there. Through doing that, you'll be able to sign up for our newsletter and you'll receive updates about webinars such as this one, upcoming competitions, receive helpful information, and you'll also be able to connect with over 2,000 higher education institutions across the Western Hemisphere. By joining, we also have a forum available where you can connect with other institutions, etc. To submit your application, you'll go to our website. We have, again, the link here, and click on the application portal. Everything is done via that online portal, and everything is done electronically. If you do have any questions about that, we're of course always here to answer those questions. We'll now very briefly go over the Innovation Fund, this Innovation Fund competition. We've already shared a bit of information about this. We'll just go over some of the basic information. Like I said, we'll do this part kind of quickly and as a quick overview. So all of the information that we cover today can be found in the request for grant proposals, the RFP. And these are available in both English and Portuguese on our website at any time. And this will cover, this is a much more detailed document that answers any of the questions you might have, and all of the information we'll go over today. So we definitely recommend you use that as your guiding document throughout the application process. For this competition, there are 6 Innovation Fund grants available of $34,250 each. And this is, of course, pending the review process. The eligible countries are the US and Brazil. The eligible institutions are all US higher education institutions that are listed here. The Brazilian SANAI institutes that are eligible are the SANAI Innovation Institutes, as has already been mentioned, as well as the SANAI Higher Education Schools. For more questions about that, you can ask Gustavo, visit the website, and that link here also has a list of all of the innovation institutes across Brazil. We also have the option of adding an additional Brazilian institution as your third partner of any of the registered higher education institutions listed here. And the eligible partnerships, the required partnership is at least one US HEI higher education institution and at least one SANAI Innovation Institute or higher education school. However, we do also recommend that you involve a third institution, which can be any other Brazilian institution that was listed on the screen beforehand. And Please note, this is very important that you do need to have at least one Senai Innovation Institute or higher education school to be eligible. And then you can add another institution, Brazilian institution, along with that partnership, as long as you have at least one USHEI and one Senai Innovation Institute or higher education school. These, to address some common questions that we get, there is no limit to the number of institutions that could be involved in your project. You can have just the necessary 2, or you can have 5, you can have 6, no matter how many you want, that's totally fine. Either the US applicant or the institute from the Senai Institute in Brazil can submit the application. Do note that whoever submits the application will be considered the prime award recipient and will be responsible for all of the tasks necessary and requirements of the Innovation Fund grant, and will be the primary implementer. For this competition, you cannot include any institutions outside of the US or Brazil, so you can't have a third partner in, say, Argentina. All of the involved institutions must be in the US or Brazil. And as Rita mentioned, there is no limit to the number of proposals your institution can submit. However, since we only have 6 available awards in this competition, it is unlikely, not impossible, that your institution would receive more than one award. So that's something to keep in mind. These are the eligible thematic areas for this competition. As you can see, there are quite a few. And if you're not sure if your program falls under one of these categories, you can refer to the request for proposals that we mentioned earlier, which has a much more detailed list and some sub areas under each of these major areas. And we also are open to, this is a bit open to creativity and interpretation, as long as you can provide justification that your proposal does fall under one of these general thematic areas. The proposals require 3 different elements. These are the technical proposal, which makes up 80% of the evaluation criteria. This includes a cover page, table of contents, and the executive summary and program description, which is 40% of the criteria, the sustainability plan, which makes up 15% of the evaluation criteria, the institutional capacity, challenges, and opportunities for growth, which makes up 15%. The evaluation process, the monitoring and evaluation plan is 10%. And note that that section from the executive summary to the monitoring and evaluation plan has a page limit of 10 pages max. Then the second part is the cost proposal, which is comprised of the budget summary, which is an Excel document, a spreadsheet, which we provide a template for, that basically breaks down all the different costs, proposed costs of your program, as well as the budget narrative, which is a detailed description of the budget summary that you submit, providing any descriptions, how you got to the costs that you calculated, and then any justification for how it relates to your proposed program objectives. You must also submit the CVs or resumes of everyone involved in the project, the faculty from both the primary institution and any partner institutions, as well as letters of support from all institutions or third partners involved. And please note that all of the application materials must be submitted in English. And this is because not all of our reviewers speak Portuguese. So we want to make sure that the reviewers are able to appropriately analyze and evaluate your proposal. And we did do another webinar on the different recommendations that we have, tips and strategies that we have for building a competitive proposal. So today we'll just go over this very briefly. But if you want to learn more, you can see more on our website, as well as refer to the past webinars. For the executive summary and program descriptions, we're really looking for clearly defined program goals and objectives, and student learning outcomes, the different activities, so on and so forth. What is innovative about your program? Why do you need the grant? What will this do differently than other programs? For example, for the sustainability plan, the purpose of 100K Innovation Fund grants is to serve as seed funding for programs that will have sustainability and will be able to continue beyond the 1 year of the grant. So here we're looking for, have you secured any additional partners? How will you be able to secure any financial support after the end of the grant period? And here, you can definitely get creative of how you will be able to implement the project. We're also looking for the institutional capacity. So do you and your partner institutions have the capacity to administer the program? What is your experience with study abroad at the institutional level? As well as the challenges that your institution has regarding study abroad, and also then the opportunities for growth. How will you overcome these different challenges? So an important thing to note here is that we're looking for you to address these questions for each of the institutions involved and for each of these individual items here. So there really should be, make sure to address for both institutions, all institutions, and for the 3 different things here: the capacity, the challenges, and the opportunities for growth. In the monitoring and evaluation plan, we do provide a template for this as well that we strongly recommend that you use. We have this available on our website. By doing this, you can see exactly which criteria we're looking for and exactly the format that we're looking for it in. So this is basically how will you evaluate the program's progress and the student learning outcomes. And we're looking for a timeline of the implementation here, and basically how will you be able to measure the impact of your program. And of course, the last part is the budget summary. This should be detailed, but also easy to understand. Make sure the calculations are correct. As I mentioned, we do provide a template, so that basically gives you a very good overview of what it is that we're looking for. Make sure to include cost share in there. We will be talking more about cost share, since this is a unique aspect of this grant competition. And someone asked earlier if cost share must be a part of a proposal, and the answer is yes. We typically require at least a 1-to-1 match of the grant funds, but as Rita mentioned and as Maggie mentioned, this cost share can be in many different forms, and it typically comes in the form of in-kind. So for example, even faculty time is cost share. Any of those things, lab costs are cost share. So you can do that, and it's from all of the institutions involved. And then in the narrative, again, we're looking for the justification, do the costs match what you proposed, as well as how did you arrive at those calculations and estimates. Again, since we went over this very quickly today, you can find all this information in the RFP. We also have a very detailed proposal format and design guidelines page on our website, as well as a grant FAQs page that will address a lot of these questions. As I mentioned, we also did have 2 past informational webinars. We had one on applying for an Innovation Fund grant, which was just kind of the logistics of applying and an overview of the competition. And then the second webinar we had was tips and strategies for developing a proposal. And this went into much more detail on the elements that I just went over. It had tips and strategies. We also featured past grantees in both of these webinars that offered great insight. And all of those materials are available on our website. I will address some of these questions. I guess these, in speaking with my colleagues, these have been some of the common questions that have come up. So I will address some of these, and then we'll be able to address them as a team as well. So to clarify, the institution that will receive the funds is the one that submits the application, and the award funds will be dispersed between July and August of this year, depending on when the agreement is signed, of course. And again, as I mentioned, the prime institution, the one that submits the proposal, is the one that's responsible for everything throughout the lifetime of the grant. So this includes signing the award, turning in the reports, managing the funds, and then of course the partners help support the implementation. As I mentioned, yes, the use of equipment, space, and time for the project can be counted as cost share. And there is no formal agreement necessary between the Senai institution and the US institution that's necessary. You know, you don't need to have a memorandum of understanding, for example, at the time of submitting your proposal. And with that, I think we will now open it up for general Q&A, address some of the questions that have already been brought up. I'll leave it open as well to my colleagues if they have any initial thoughts or information they want to share.
Laura, can you put your wonderful, well, actually it's good to have this, but some of the slides you've shared are so helpful, especially that last one that has a lot. Yeah, that's a really key one that people might need a little time to think about. One of the questions in the chat box we can see is that people are saying, hey, and we get this question a lot for 100,000 strong, 100K partnerships, you know, and I know Rita's team has heard this and maybe Gustavo. We hear the question, do we have to have an MOU? Do we have to have a pre-existing partnership to apply for these grants, for 100,000 strong grants? The answer is no. It's okay if you do. It's okay if your institution does, and it's okay if it does not. So think about this again, think about the 100K grants as a tool to build on existing partnerships, US, Brazil, Sinai, or create brand new ones. That is something we want everybody to understand. I'm going to stop there.
Great. Thank you so much, Maggie. I can take one of the questions. Is there a list of activities or objectives on which the resources should be spent? And this is a good question. Typically, we leave this up to the institutions. However, this should obviously be spent toward, we like to see this spent towards student costs. It covers student costs. We also do have a bit more information on this on our website in the RFP and in the grant FAQs, but really we leave this up to the institutions for the most part.
Okay, I can jump in on Clifford Lime's question. Can a non-Sinai institution in Brazil be the lead? And the answer to that question is no. They can participate and be a partner in it, but a Sinai institution or a US institution needs to be the lead in this grant competition.
Thanks, Ukaya. I'll go ahead and answer some of the questions as well that people have brought up. So we, the proposals are evaluated by a team of higher education professionals. They go through multiple rounds of evaluation. And again, you can see a little bit more information on the evaluation criteria that they're using to evaluate the proposals on our website.
There's a question in the chat about the carbon offsets. Carbon offsets are projects, or there are companies that and nonprofits that sell carbon offsets to minimize the effects of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere due to travel, such as flights, which add considerable carbon dioxide to the atmosphere and is a greenhouse gas. And so they fund projects that capture carbon or restore forests in ways that otherwise offset the carbon that's created. So we encourage institutions that are able to offset the carbon that will be created by the flights that will take place as part of their exchange projects. And that's encouraged, but not required.
Great, thanks, Ukaya. To answer Kathleen's question, yes, funds can be used for scholarships to students to travel, and we do encourage this, and this is looked upon favorably in the evaluation process. Gustavo, would you be able to answer the question? Great. We got a question from Vitor saying, concerning the cost share aspect of the project proposal, does it have to be clearly specified from the start, or can it be adjusted along the way as the project takes place? When you submit your proposal, you do have to have a clearly defined cost share and make a commitment to this cost share. However, if there's additional cost share that you can add along the way, this is of course fine and encouraged. But when you submit the proposal with the budget, you will have to submit details on the cost share.
Regarding the question, the proposal asks for credit-bearing activities. Do you have examples or guidelines for the expectations regarding such activities? All participating 100K students are required to receive academic credit from their home institution, so that these exchange programs contribute to their graduation plans and their academic programs. So as long as they receive some sort of academic credit from their home institution, that will be eligible, and those that grant more credit are viewed more favorably.
To answer the question, is there a list of Senai institutes who are actively looking for a US partner? I'll let Rita and Gustavo address this as well, but we on the part of Partners of the Americas do have a running list going of institutions that have registered for our webinars who are interested in looking for a partner, and this does include a number of Brazilian Senai institutions. And Rita and Gustavo, I don't know if you all maybe have more information on that as well.
Gustavo, you want to go first?
Yes. When Senai unit contact me looking for partners in US, I send message to Rita, and Rita can spread this message to the company partners.
Yeah, so Education USA has been doing that, especially, on workshops like that, if you are part of a Senai and you've showed interest in a particular topic and connections, you can look for the Education USA. I'll be happy to put my email here if Annelise can do this for me while I talk, and we will connect you. Also, we do have many proactive Brazilian and US universities that have already connected with certain Senai on the ground. I know in Caxias do Sul it happened, in Porto Alegre, in Ceará, and many places in Brazil. And therefore, when the dots are not there, we go back to Gustavo. So we asked Gustavo to make sure that Senai, is responding, and sometimes we didn't have a branched Senai responding, but we had a São Paulo one responding. So it's literally connecting the dots, and we will be happy to help.
Great, thank you so much. So yes, luckily we have quite a few resources that we can share with you all to help you connect with other institutions, and feel free to reach out to any of us if you're still looking for a partner.
I think it would help also, if you are looking for partners, take advantage of the chat and the question and answer. Do tell us that, because we'll be copying everything. And with a contact email from you, we'll be happy to reach out as well.
Yes, so if you do have any additional questions, you can feel free to reach out to us at our email, which is 100kstrongamericas@partners.net. I'm typing that at the moment. and we can connect you to the appropriate people. To address the question, should a PI from each partnering institution be listed in the project? Can a member of the third institution be a PI? Can multiple PIs be from the same institution? Yes, so the PI, there should be a PI from each participating institution listed in the project. This is definitely highly recommended. And a member of the third institution can be a PI. However, as we mentioned, the primary PI needs to be from the prime institution, the one that submits the application. This will be the PI, the project director that we are communicating with, that will be responsible for coordinating, submitting the reports, monitoring the funds, so on and so forth. But there should definitely be a PI from each of the institutions involved. And it's great to identify these in your proposal and submit their resumes and CVs as part of your proposal. All right, it's looking like we've been pretty much able to answer all or most of the questions. We'll also be typing up all these questions in a question and answer report and sending the answers to all of you as part of our follow-up. And so we'll take one last moment to allow you to submit any questions that you might have for us. And I'll also open it up for my colleagues if they'd like to make any final comments.
So one final comment here. I'm already copying everything you're putting on the chat. You know, people that want contacts. You know, we will be following up. I saw Faculdade de Medicina here. I think that's the communication that we have to have going. But don't sit on this. You know, we are in the summer in Brazil. I understand many of you are coming back from your vacation. Very hot in Rio today. Time will fly. So if you can really grab your partner, you know, jot down a proposal. And let's say you have, you know, the US University, Brazilian University, and Senai. And let's say that, you know, not all the three partners are talking together. Maybe two can put a proposal together. The third one can agree to it, and then you can submit. But I would say this is the final line. You know, you have until March 28th to submit your proposals. And to us, I think the more proposals we have, even though we understand, you know, that not all the proposals can be funded, but just having that together, you know, there will be other opportunities coming. And that is such a big first step for us to be pushing to help you to make this partnership. So I really want to encourage you all to submit proposals. Thank you, Laura.
Of course, thank you, Rita. All right, wonderful. With that then, I think we'll end a little earlier than we thought, which is great. We all are busy people with things to do. And of course, we are here though, if you have any questions. All of us are more than happy to help you find a partner, develop your proposal. As I mentioned, we have a lot of different resources available on our website. And we thank you all so much for joining us today and hope to receive your proposals.